I want you to try and hold two completely contradictory scales in your head at the same time. On one side, we have the geopolitical heavyweights.
Okay.
We're talking national identity, legacy, and a king who is arguably the most famous monarch in history, just losing sleep because he wants to build this massive monumental structure. I mean, high stakes.
Right. Heavy stone, imported cedar, thousands of years of history, the stuff of empires.
Exactly. And then on the other side of the scale, a cheap clay lamp.
Yeah.
A piece of household clutter you might trip over in the dark. And the instruction isn't build a monument. It's just, hey, don't stick this under your bed.
It feels like a cinematic jump cut, doesn't it?
It does.
We go from the blueprints of a palace to a dusty corner of a bedroom. But when you actually look at the source material we have today, those two images aren't just connected. They are, in fact, describing the exact same mechanism.
That is the puzzle we are solving today. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We are unpacking the readings and reflections for Thursday, January 29, 2026. For those tracking the calendar, this is the third week in Ordinary Time.
And Ordinary Time always sounds so, boring to me. Like, nothing to see here, just standard operations.
Yeah.
But the texts for this specific Thursday are anything but ordinary.
We have a really fascinating stack. We've got a pivotal historical moment in 2 Samuel chapter 7 involving King David.
A huge one.
We have the emotional backing track to that story in Psalm 132. We have a shout out to Psalm 119. And then we have Jesus in Mark chapter 4 dropping some very cryptic, almost paradox level teachings about lamps, secrets, and measuring cups.
Plus that reflection piece illuminating the path, which sort of tries to bridge the gap between ancient kings and our daily life.
So if we had to synthesize all of this, if there's a mission for this deep dive, what are we actually looking at?
I think we're looking at the physics of spiritual reciprocity.
Reciprocity, that's a big word to throw out this early. Break that down.
It's the idea that you can't actually have truth or light if you hoard it. The system is designed to break if you try to keep it for yourself. It's about visibility and the burden of a promise and how what you put into the system determines exactly what you get out of it.
I love that. So let's start with the heavy hitter, the king.
Yeah.
We're in 2 Samuel chapter 7. Paint the scene for us. Where is David at this point in his life?
David is at the absolute peak. I mean, he isn't the shepherd boy anymore, and he isn't the fugitive running from Saul.
Not at all.
He has done the hard work. He's united the tribes, he's conquered the enemies, and he's finally established Jerusalem as the capital. He's built himself a beautiful palace made of cedar.
And we should probably pause on cedar. To a modern ear, that sounds like a closet liner. But in the ancient world, that's a flex.
Oh, it's the ultimate flex. Cedar had to be imported from Lebanon. It was expensive. It was aromatic. It was durable. Living in a cedar house was like driving a Rolls Royce.
Okay.
It signaled stability and immense wealth.
So he's made it. He should be relaxing. He should be enjoying the smell of the wood.
He should be. But the text says the king went in and sat before the Lord. He's unsettled. He's looking at his luxury walls, and then he looks out the window at the Ark of the Covenant, which is basically the physical manifestation of God's presence on earth. And it's sitting in a tent.
Right, a literal tent.
Curtains.
Camping gear.
Exactly. It's a temporary setup. And David is having this crisis of conscience. He's thinking, this is wrong. The optics are terrible. I'm living in luxury, and the creator of the universe is living in a tent.
It's an optics problem,
Yeah.
sure. But reading the text, it feels, well, deeper than just PR.
It is deeper. It's gratitude mixed with guilt. And that's when he gets this idea. I'm going to build a house for God.
A temple.
A temple. Something stone. Something permanent. He wants to do something grand to pay God back.
And this is where the story takes a turn that I think is so easy to miss if you're just skimming.
So easy.
David tells the prophet Nathan, I'm going to do this. And Nathan initially says, go for it. But then God interrupts the broadcast.
God comes back with a hard no. But it's a fascinating no. He doesn't say, I don't want a house. He says, you're not the one to build it. And then he flips the entire concept of the word house completely upside down.
This is that linguistic twist the notes pointed out, right? I want to make sure I get this right, because it seems central to the whole argument.
Yes, it is central. In Hebrew, the word is bayit. It's a flexible word. It can mean a physical building like a palace or a temple. But it can also mean a household, a dynasty, a lineage, like when we say the House of Windsor.
So David says, I want to build you a bayit, meaning a temple.
And God replies, no, I'm going to build you a bayit, meaning a dynasty.
Wow.
He effectively says, you think you can do me a favor, you think you can secure my reputation with architecture, I'm going to secure your existence forever.
That is such a power move. It completely reverses the flow of generosity.
It establishes who is really in charge. David wants to be the benefactor, the guy writing the check. God says, no, you are the recipient. You don't establish me, I establish you.
And look at David's reaction in the text. This is what struck me. A lesser man, or, maybe an arrogant leader, might have been offended.
Oh, for sure.
What do you mean I can't build it? I'm the king. I have the cedar. But David just melts.
He completely humbles himself. The text quotes him asking, who am I, Lord God, and who are the members of my house that you have brought me to this point?
That question, who am I? It feels rare for a politician, doesn't it? Usually they're telling you exactly who they are and why they're so important.
Extremely rare. This is the moment David realizes that everything he has is a gift. He isn't a self-made man. He's a God-made man.
Yeah.
And because of that realization, he accepts the promise. He asks God to confirm for all time this word.
It's interesting. He says he found the courage to pray this.
Yeah.
Why does it take courage to accept a gift like that?
Because an eternal promise is heavy. It's bigger than you.
Yeah.
If God promises that your lineage will last forever, that's not something you can control or manage. You have to surrender to it. It's actually harder to receive than to give sometimes. Giving makes you feel powerful. Receiving makes you acknowledge you are dependent.
I want to pull in Psalm 132 here because the notes listed as the responsorial psalm. It seems to give us the emotional backstory to David's state of mind before this conversation took place.
Oh, absolutely. 2 Samuel gives us the dialogue, but Psalm 132 gives us the anxiety. It talks about David's anxious care.
Yeah, the lyrics are intense. I will not enter the house where I live, nor lie on the couch where I sleep. I will give my eyes no sleep, my eyelids no rest, till I find a place for the Lord.
Think about that obsession. He's refusing to sleep. He's probably pacing the cedar floors of that palace at 3 a.m. He feels this massive burden to do something. He cannot rest as long as he feels he owes God something.
And the resolution in 2 Samuel is God saying, effectively, stop, go to sleep, I'm building for you.
It shifts the dynamic from striving to receiving, from anxious care to settled peace. And that is the core of the first reading. The house stands firm not because of David's architectural skills, but because of God's word.
Okay, so hold that thought. A house that stands firm because of a promise, not because of the builder's effort. Now, I want to bridge this to the gospel reading in Mark chapter 4.
Right.
Because we're moving from a dynasty, which is huge and abstract, to a lamp, a little clay pot with a wick.
Right. And the bridge between them is actually Psalm 119, the Alleluia verse. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light for my path.
Let's clarify lamp for a second, because when we hear light, we think LED floods. We think high beams on a car cutting through the dark for a mile.
No. Ancient lamps were dim. They were olive oil lamps. They illuminated maybe a 3-foot radius.
Just enough to see your next step.
Exactly. That's why the psalm says lamp for my feet. It's navigational. It's immediate.
So in Mark 4, Jesus asks this rhetorical question. Is a lamp brought in to be placed under a bushel basket or under a bed and not to be placed on a lampstand?
It's a bit of a comedy routine. It's absurd. The entire purpose of a lamp is to shine. If you hide it, you have effectively negated its existence. It's a tool that only works if it's exposed.
But let's look at the specific hiding places he mentions. He doesn't just say hide it. He says under a bushel basket and under a bed. Is that just random household furniture, or is there a code there?
Oh, there's definitely a code, or at least a very strong archetypal association. The bushel, or the modius in Latin, was a grain measure. It's a tool of commerce. It represents business, trade, the marketplace.
So hiding your light under a bushel means what? Putting work first.
It means letting your economic anxiety, your career ambition, or just the busyness of measuring grain smother your spiritual life. You're too busy making a living to let the light shine.
Oof. Okay, that hits. And the bed?
The bed usually represents 2 things: laziness or intimacy. Comfort.
Okay.
I just want to rest. I don't want the hassle of shining this light, or I want to keep this private. This is just for me.
That feels very modern. My faith is private. I don't want to make it weird at work.
Yeah.
That's putting it under the bed.
Exactly. But Jesus is saying that the nature of light is public. Light creates visibility. You can't have a private light in a dark room. It defies physics. If it's light, it shines on everything around it.
And then he drops this line that I find slightly terrifying. For there is nothing hidden except to be made visible. Nothing is secret except to come to light.
It sounds like a threat, doesn't it?
It sounds like a data leak. It sounds like, I know what you did last summer.
It can be interpreted that way. But in the context of the kingdom, it's about the buoyancy of truth. We tend to think that if we bury a secret, whether it's a sin or a talent or a truth, that it stays buried.
Right.
Jesus is saying, no, the geology of the universe is such that truth always surfaces.
So secrecy is just a temporary state.
Precisely. Secrecy is an illusion. The destiny of everything, every thought, every action, every kingdom reality is exposure. The mystery of the kingdom isn't meant to be a puzzle you can't solve. It's a secret destined to be shouted from the rooftops.
That connects back to the reflection piece, illuminating the path. It says God's truth isn't meant to be hoarded. If I know something true and I don't share it, I'm fighting against the nature of reality.
You're trying to keep the sun in a cardboard box. Eventually the box burns. You can't contain it.
Okay, this leads us to the section of the gospel that, I'll be honest, always confuses me. I call it the scary math.
The law of the measure.
Yes. Jesus says, the measure with which you measure will be measured out to you, and still more will be given to you. And then the kicker, to the one who has, more will be given. For the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away.
It sounds like the most unfair economic policy ever written. The rich get richer, the poor get destitute. It feels harsh.
It does. It sounds ruthless. If I have nothing, you're going to take away my nothing. How does that work?
We have to step out of the money mindset here. If you think of it as money, it's unjust. You have to think of it as muscle or language.
Walk me through that.
Okay, think about learning a language. If you have a little bit of French and you practice it, you use it, you measure it out, you speak to people, what happens?
I get better. I learn more words. More is given.
Right. But if you have a little bit of French and you never use it, you hide it under the bed, you don't engage, what happens?
I forget it. It disappears.
Yeah.
Even what I have is taken away.
Exactly. This isn't about God punishing poor people. It's about the law of atrophy. Spiritual insight is a use it or lose it commodity. The measure Jesus is talking about is your capacity for openness and your willingness to share.
So the measure is the size of the container I bring to the interaction.
Yes. If you come to the Word of God with a thimble skeptical, closed off, just wanting a quick fix, you get a thimble full. And eventually, even that evaporates because a thimble of water dries up fast. But if you come like David...
Bring in the tanker truck.
Bringing the tanker truck. Go back to 2 Samuel. David was sleepless. He was obsessed. He poured out his whole heart. I want to build you a house. I want to give you everything. He brought a massive measure.
Even though his idea was wrong. He wanted to build a temple, and God didn't want a temple.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the key. David had the wrong content, but the right measure. He was wrong about the building, but he was right about the devotion.
Yeah.
And because he was that open, because he brought that massive capacity, God filled it with a massive promise.
That is a brilliant connection. David's measure was his willingness to serve, and his openness allowed God to give him the real gift, the dynasty.
Precisely. David didn't hide his light. He was ready to put it on the lampstand for the whole nation. And because of that, more was given, an eternal amount more.
So we have this dynamic. You receive the light, you shine the light, and by shining it, you create the capacity to receive more.
It's a flow. Think of a river versus a swamp. A swamp hoards water, it keeps it, and what happens?
It goes stagnant.
It goes stagnant. It gets toxic. A river gives water away constantly. It flows out. And because it flows out, fresh water rushes in. Jesus is telling the disciples, don't be a swamp.
Let's pivot to the listener right now. It's Thursday, January 29, 2026. Maybe they're driving. Maybe they're doing laundry. They aren't King David. They aren't building a dynasty.
No.
They're just trying to get through the week. How do they apply this lamp on a stand idea without being, well, annoying?
That's the fear, isn't it? Yeah. We think shining our light means standing on a street corner with a megaphone screaming at people.
Or sending awkward religious texts to your coworkers. Or turning every conversation into a sermon.
Right. Please don't do that. That's not a lamp. That's a laser pointer in someone's eye. Remember the scale of the lamp in the story. It's for the room you are in. It lights up the feet, the path. It's subtle but essential.
So what does that look like practically?
The reflection source asks a really great question. How can I intentionally share God's light today through a simple act of kindness, witness, or encouragement?
Simple act is the key there.
Yes. Let's go back to the bushel. That represents work stress, right? The anxiety of the marketplace.
Yeah.
Shining your light might mean that in the middle of a high-stress meeting where everyone is snapping at each other and measuring their own status,
you choose to be the one person who doesn't snap back.
You choose patience. You choose to listen. You take the basket off. You let the light of peace shine in a room full of stress.
And the bed. That laziness or self-protection.
Maybe you see a neighbor who is struggling with groceries or a friend who posts something sad online, and every part of you just wants to go inside, lie on the couch, and watch Netflix.
Right.
You want the comfort of the bed, but you choose to stop. You send the text, you help with the bags.
That is placing the lamp on the stand.
And the promise of the scary math, the law of the measure, is that when you do that, when you expend that energy, you don't end up depleted. You end up replenished. More will be given.
You get more patience. You get more capacity to love. You don't run out.
It's because you've proven you're a conduit, not a cul-de-sac. You're part of the river.
The prayer in the source material really nails this sequence. It says, "Give me the grace to shine your light through my words and actions." It acknowledges that we need fuel to do this. We can't just manufacture light.
It's a cycle. We ask for grace, we receive it, we shine it, and we receive more. The danger is only in the stopping. The danger is in the hiding. The danger is thinking, I have enough, I'll just save this for later. That's when the light goes out.
So to recap the journey we've been on today, we started with David, the sleepless king, realizing that he couldn't build God a house, but that God was building him a future.
We moved to the lamp, seeing that truth and light are, by definition, public. They are meant to be seen.
Right.
You can't have a private truth any more than you can have a private sun.
And we landed on the law of the measure, that our spiritual capacity is determined by how much we are willing to pour out.
It's a powerful set of readings. It tells us that we matter. Our measure matters. The size of the container we bring to our daily life determines how much of God's life gets into us.
I want to leave the listener with a final thought, based on that haunting line about nothing being hidden.
Let's hear it.
If it is true that nothing is hidden except to be made visible, if every secret, every private attitude, every withheld kindness is eventually going to be exposed to the light.
The ultimate transparency.
Exactly. If you knew that the great reveal was inevitable, that the basket is definitely coming off, how would that change what you do with your lamp in the next hour?
Are you cultivating things in the dark that you'll be ashamed of? Or are you building a light that you'll be proud to see revealed?
Because the light is coming. The only question is, are we shining with it, or are we trying to hide from it?
That's the question to carry through the day.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.